And the devil smiles when God's people sing them, because he knows they will leave the house of God unchanged. A true song of God will never exalt weakness without pointing to his strength. A true song of God will never glorify despair without magnifying his power to deliver. A true song of God will never leave you in your sorrow, but will lift you into faith, into victory, into the unshakable reality that God is greater than every storm. But today, many songs leave people wallowing in their pain, circling around their wounds, singing endlessly about their struggle, while the name of God is only whispered as an afterthought. Who do you think wrote such songs? Not God. For God is not the author of confusion, nor the composer of despair. God is the giver of strength, the fountain of victory, the song of freedom. But the devil has written songs that keep you chained to your feelings, and you sing them as if they are holy. Music has always been spiritual warfare. Think of it. When David played the harp, the evil spirit tormenting Saul fled. Why? Because the song was pure, born from the Spirit of God, filled with holiness. But now, what happens in many gatherings, songs are sung that have no power to drive away darkness, no authority to break chains, no anointing to bring healing. Instead, the songs invite entertainment, performance, and self-centeredness. And people clap, they sway, they cry, but the devil does not flee, because the song is his. And yet it is sung as if it belongs to God. Beloved, we must awaken. We must discern the songs we sing. We must test the lyrics, the spirit, the origin. Does the song exalt God or exalt the singer? Does the song glorify the throne or glorify the stage? Does the song lead your heart to worship or simply stir your emotions? A song that truly comes from God will draw you out of yourself and into His presence. It will silence fear, strengthen faith, and cause the devil to tremble. But a song from the enemy will trap you in cycles of emotion, lead you to exalt your pain, and weaken your spirit until you are easy prey for the lies of the devil. The danger is this: once a song enters the mouth of the church, it becomes doctrine in melody. People may not remember the sermon, but they will remember the song. They may not memorize scripture, but they will sing the lyrics every day. And if those lyrics are not truth, they will carry lies into their hearts, repeating them until they believe them. The devil knows this. That is why he writes songs that sound sweet but are poisoned. Songs that feel spiritual but are powerless. Songs that mention God but do not glorify Him. Songs that replace worship with performance. Songs that replace truth with feeling. Songs that replace holiness with entertainment. And when God's people sing them, they are feeding on poison with a smile. Do not be deceived. Music is not neutral. Every song has a spirit behind it. Every melody carries a seed. Some songs carry the seed of heaven. Others carry the seed of hell. And the seed you allow into your heart through your lips will grow. That is why God warns us to guard our hearts with all diligence. For the heart is shaped by what we repeat, by what we declare, by what we sing. If the song you sing was written by the devil, then you are watering the very seed of destruction with your own mouth. But if the song you sing is birthed by God, You are declaring life, victory, and faith into your spirit. We must return to songs that are filled with the Word of God. Songs that exalt His greatness, His majesty, His holiness. Songs that silence the flesh and awaken the spirit. Songs that make the devil flee, not laugh. Songs that cause chains to break, not emotions to rise and fall. Ankan songs that declare the eternal truth of God's power and not the fleeting feeling of man's weakness. For when you sing such songs, you are not entertaining yourself. You are waging war. Every lyric becomes a sword, every melody a shield, every chorus a battle cry against the enemy. This is the music of heaven, and this is what the people of God need today. But the devil is cunning. He does not put his name on the song. He wraps his lies in melodies that sound holy, in lyrics that seem harmless. He knows the people of God are often more moved by music than by truth. And so he uses music as his weapon. He places his songs in the mouths of talented singers. He fills the air with his rhythms, and he sends them into the house of God disguised as does worship. And because they sound beautiful, many accept them. Because they stir emotions, many call them anointed. Because they are popular, many declare them holy. But popularity does not prove purity. Emotion does not prove anointing. A song that pleases the flesh but does not glorify God is not worship. It is deception. I tell you today, guard your lips from the songs of the devil. Do not allow your spirit to be chained by melodies that weaken your faith. Do not let your worship become corrupted by lyrics that exalt man instead of God. Sing only what strengthens your spirit. Sing only what magnifies God. Sing only what breaks the grip of fear and fills your heart with the power of heaven. For the songs you sing are not just words, they are weapons. And if you choose the wrong weapon, you will lose the battle before it even begins. Beloved, understand this: worship is not entertainment. Worship is warfare. Worship is not about what you feel. It is about who God is. Worship is not about performance. It is about surrender. Worship is not about the stage. It is about the throne. And the devil trembles when the people of God worship in truth. That is why he works tirelessly to corrupt the songs of worship, to twist them into tools of deception. But when you lift your voice in songs that exalt God, songs filled with His truth, songs birthed in His Spirit, every chain is broken, every darkness flees, every fear dissolves. That is the power of true worship. The devil wrote many songs, but you do not have to sing them. You can choose the song of God. You can fill your lips with truth. You can turn your worship into a weapon of victory. Do not settle for empty lyrics. Do not settle for melodies that stir your flesh, but starve your spirit. Sing what glorifies God. Sing what lifts your faith. Sing what breaks the chains. And when you do, you will see the power of God move mightily in your life. For a song of God is not just music. It is fire, it is power, it is life. Beloved, let me open your eyes to something deeper, something that many do not realize. The devil does not always attack with swords, chains, and visible weapons. His most dangerous weapon is subtlety. He works in whispers, in distractions, in counterfeit light. That is why the devil uses songs. because songs do not look dangerous. They sound beautiful, they feel comforting, they carry melody and rhythm, but behind that sweetness may be poison. Behind that melody may be rebellion. Behind those lyrics may be lies crafted to weaken your devotion to God. Do not underestimate the subtlety of the enemy. What looks harmless may be the very snare that pulls your soul into bondage. Understand this? Every song carries a spirit. The words you sing are not just empty syllables, they are declarations. They are confessions of your faith. When you sing about defeat, you are declaring defeat over your life. When you sing about fear, you are inviting fear into your heart. When you sing about emptiness without magnifying God, you are agreeing with emptiness. The devil knows this. That is why he writes songs that sound spiritual but are filled with weakness. He wants you to confess defeat with your own lips. He wants you to invite despair into your heart. He wants you to make melodies out of your chains and call it worship. And when you do, you give power to the very lies he planted. But God is calling his people to discernment. God is calling his people to rise above emotional worship and enter into true worship. True worship is not about how the song makes you feel. It is about how the song aligns with the truth of God. A song may give you chills. It may bring you to tears. It may stir your heart. But if it does not glorify God, it is not holy. If it magnifies your feelings more than his greatness, it is not worship. If it entertains your flesh but does not strengthen your spirit, it is not from God. You must weigh the songs you sing against the truth of God. Does it exalt his power? Does it magnify his holiness? Does it lift your heart into his presence? If not, it is not a song of heaven. The tragedy is that many have confused popularity with purity. Because a song is sung by millions, they assume it is from God. Because it trends on radios, fills stadiums, and echoes across nations, they assume it carries the Spirit of God. But remember, the devil also has followers. The devil also has influence. The devil also knows how to spread his lies far and wide. Do not be deceived by numbers. The majority is not always walking in truth. Many follow the wide road, and only a few walk the narrow path. The same is true of music. The wide road is filled with songs that please the flesh, but the narrow road is filled with songs that glorify God. And let me tell you this, God does not need performance. God does not need stage lights, smoke machines, or polished voices. God is not impressed by your talent. He is moved by your truth. You can have a voice that shakes stadiums, but if your song does not glorify God, it is noise in his ears. You can have instruments that sound like angels, but if the song exalts man more than God, it is empty sound. What God desires is purity of heart. What God desires is lyrics filled with truth. What God desires is worship that comes from the Spirit, not entertainment that feeds the flesh. Some of you must ask yourselves, what are you really singing? Do you even listen to the words, or do you just let the melody carry you? The devil knows if you stop thinking and just keep singing, his lies will seep into your heart unnoticed. That is why discernment is crucial. Guard your lips. Guard your heart. Guard the songs you allow into your spirit, Because songs are seeds, and once planted, they grow. If you plant the seeds of lies, you will reap chains. If you plant the seeds of truth, you will reap freedom. There is another danger: the spirit of imitation. Many churches today no longer seek God for fresh songs. Instead, they copy what the world sings and add God's name to it. They take the rhythms of the world, the melodies of the world, the culture of the world, and try to baptize it in religion. But what is born of the world will always carry the spirit of the world. You cannot take the enemy's music, sprinkle God's name on it, and call it holy. God is not mocked. Holiness cannot be mixed with corruption. Purity cannot be mingled with compromise. A song birthed in the world cannot carry the fire of heaven. It will only carry the spirit of where it was born. And if it was born in rebellion, no matter how beautiful it sounds, it will only spread rebellion. Beloved, true worship costs something. It costs flesh, it costs pride, it costs performance. True worship is not convenient, it is sacrificial. It is not about pleasing man, it is about pleasing God. That is why many do not want to sing the true songs of God. Because those songs demand surrender. Those songs confront sin. Those songs strip away the masks and call you into holiness. And many would rather sing songs that make them feel good than songs that make them bow in reverence before the living God. This is why the devil's songs are more popular. They flatter the flesh while starving the spirit. But the song of God may pierce your heart before it lifts you. It may humble you before it empowers you. It may break you before it rebuilds you. But when you sing it, you are transformed. That is the difference between a song written by the devil and a song born of God. And I must tell you this: songs shape nations. Look at history. Revolutions were fueled by songs. Wars were marched with songs. Cultures were transformed by songs. Songs carry ideologies. Songs shape value. Songs mold generations. Do you not see? If the devil can control the songs of a generation, he can control their thoughts, their desires, their faith. That is why the battle for music is so fierce. The devil is not just fighting for melodies. He is fighting for your soul. He knows if he can write your songs, he can write your future. But if you sing the songs of God, your future is in his hands. Beloved, listen closely. There is a reason the first thing that falls when a people turn away from God is always their music. When a nation drifts from holiness, its songs change first. When hearts grow cold, their lips no longer sing of God's greatness, but of their own desires, their own pleasures, their own idols. Music reveals the state of the soul. If you want to know where a people stand with God, listen to the songs they sing. A generation that exalts God will be known for songs of purity, songs of reverence, songs that lift the spirit into his presence. But a generation that has drifted will be known for songs of rebellion, songs of lust, songs of despair, songs that celebrate everything God has forbidden. This is why the devil fights for music. Because it is the quickest way to turn the hearts of the people. The devil does not need to preach a sermon if he can make you sing his lyrics every day. He does not need to teach you lies if he can clothe them in melodies that feel irresistible. He knows that words alone may be forgotten, but songs linger. A melody repeats in your mind long after the sound has stopped. You hum it while you work. You whisper it while you walk. You dream it in your sleep. This is why music is one of the most powerful tools in the spiritual realm. It is not passive. It is not neutral. It is active. It works in the unseen, shaping thoughts, shaping emotions, shaping spirit. And so the devil writes songs, knowing that if you carry them on your lips, you will carry them in your life. But here is the truth the people of God must grasp. God also gave music as a weapon. When you lift your voice in songs of truth, when you declare His power with melodies born of His Spirit, the atmosphere shifts. Darkness cannot remain where God is exalted. Chains cannot hold where faith is sung. Fear cannot thrive where His greatness is declared. This is why David sang before God. This is why prophets lifted their voices in praise. This is why even in battle, the people of God place singers at the front line, because worship is not entertainment. It is warfare. And a song filled with God's power is more dangerous to the devil than 1,000 weapons of a man. So, why is the devil writing songs and planting them in the mouths of believers? Because he knows many have lost their discernment. Many have traded truth for trend, purity for popularity, holiness for hype. They look for songs that excite the crowd, not songs that please God. They seek what sounds beautiful, not what carries His Spirit. But remember this: beauty without truth is deception. Talent without purity is corruption. A song may impress thousands, but if it does not glorify God, it is powerless in heaven. Do not be deceived by performance. God is not listening to the quality of your voice. He is listening to the posture of your heart. The devil has deceived many into believing that worship must sound perfect, polished, and professional. But some of the most powerful worship does not happen on stages. It happens in hidden rooms where hearts cry out to God in truth. It happens in prisons, where chains rattle, but voices still rise. It happens in deserts where no instrument is heard, but the heart beats in rhythm with heaven. That is true worship. And the devil hates it because it cannot be manipulated. It cannot be packaged. It cannot be corrupted. We must ask ourselves, why do we sing? Do we sing to feel good? Or do we sing to glorify God? Do we sing to entertain ourselves? Or do we sing to wage war in the Spirit? Do we sing to impress others? Or do we sing to move the heart of God? Because intention matters. A song of God must come from a place of reverence, not performance. It must be filled with truth, not just emotion. It must be aligned with His holiness, not our convenience. Another trap the devil has set in music is endless repetition without depth. Songs that circle around the same shallow phrases, stirring emotion but never lifting the heart into truth. And people confuse the rise of feelings with the presence of God. They sway, they weep, they shout. But when the music stops, nothing has changed. Why? Because feelings are not transformation. Emotion is not faith. True worship does not leave you the same. It changes you. It breaks sin. It renews your mind. It strengthens your spirit. A song from God will leave you closer to Him. A song from the devil will leave you empty, though entertained. We must also be careful of songs that subtly twist the truth. Some songs mention God but redefine Him. They reduce Him to a vague idea, a powerless figure, a comforting presence without authority. But God is not vague. God is not powerless. God is not limited. He is the creator of heaven and earth, the ruler of all, the one who holds life and death in His hands. Any song that strips God of His majesty, that paints Him as less than holy, is not a song of heaven. It is a song of deception. And I must tell you, the devil is not afraid of you singing about God. If your song does not honor Him, he is not threatened by your noise. He is threatened by your truth. You can shout, you can dance, you can fill a stadium with sound, but if the lyrics do not glorify God, the devil will not flee. But if you whisper one song of truth, birthed from a heart surrendered to God, all of hell trembles. It is not the volume of your song that matters. It is the spirit behind it. Beloved, you must reclaim the music of heaven. Fill your lips with songs of truth. Train your children to sing songs that exalt God, not songs that glorify the world. Fill your homes with melodies of holiness, not rhythms of corruption. When the devil tries to infiltrate your heart with his songs, silence him with the songs of God. Replace his lies with truth. Replace his despair with praise. Replace his rebellion with surrender. Because every time you sing God's truth, you push back the darkness. The devil wrote songs, yes, but God also gave His people the power to sing. And your song is not just sound, it is spirit. When you sing in truth, you are declaring war on the enemy. When you sing in truth, you are building an altar to God in your heart. When you sing in truth, you are aligning your soul with eternity. That is why the devil is after your songs, because he knows your worship is his defeat. Beloved, hear this with all the weight of truth. When the devil writes a song, he does not simply aim at your ears, he aims at your soul. He knows that music shapes memory more than speeches, that melodies enter the heart, even when the mind resists. That is why he weaves lies into rhythm, so that you repeat them willingly, joyfully, unknowingly. And when your lips confess those lies in song, your spirit begins to live them out. Do not underestimate this strategy. It is subtle, but it is deadly. For the words you sing are not harmless. They are seeds planted in your heart. And every seed grows into a harvest. The enemy is not only writing songs of despair and weakness, he is also writing songs of pride. Songs that exalt man more than God. Songs that celebrate the singer more than the creator. Songs that turn worship into performance, where the attention of the crowd becomes more important than the reverence of the heart. And the tragedy is this: many cannot tell the difference. They see lights, hear beautiful voices, feel emotions rise, and they call it worship. But if God is not the center, it is not worship, it is entertainment. It may please the crowd, but it does not please the throne of heaven. And let me tell you something that will shake you. The devil does not care if you mention God in the song, as long as you never glorify Him. He does not fear a song that says God's name, but does not magnify His holiness. He does not tremble at lyrics that call out to God but never declare His power. What he fears is when you exalt God above everything, when you declare His greatness with conviction, when you sing of His majesty with truth. That is what drives darkness away. That is what shakes the atmosphere. That is what brings freedom. The songs of the devil are not always dark in appearance. Sometimes they sound uplifting. Sometimes they sound comforting. Sometimes they even sound holy. But listen carefully. The question is not how they sound, but what spirit they carry. A counterfeit coin looks similar to the real thing, but its value is empty. A counterfeit song may sound like worship, but its spirit is hollow. And hollow worship cannot break chains, cannot open heaven, cannot transform hearts. Only true-filled worship has that power. Some of you must also realize that the devil's songs do not only exist in churches. They exist in the streets, in the marketplaces, in the media, in the devices you carry. Many fill their minds daily with the devil's songs and then wonder why they struggle to feel the presence of God. You cannot feast on the melodies of the enemy all week and expect to worship with purity on the day of gathering. Your spirit becomes what it consumes. If your ears are filled with corruption, your heart will echo corruption. But if your ears are filled with the truth of God, your spirit will be lifted into holiness. The danger is not only what you sing, but also what you allow others to sing into your life. Be careful of the songs you allow into your home. Be careful of the music you let your children grow up with. For music teaches faster than sermons. Music bypasses arguments and shapes desires. A child who sings the devil's songs will learn his lies before he even knows they are lies. But a child who grows up singing of God's power, God's holiness, God's greatness, will have a spirit trained in truth before the world tries to deceive him. This is why families must guard their songs. This is why parents must lead by example. And let me give you another perspective. When you worship God with pure songs, you are joining the eternal choir of creation. The birds sing their melodies every morning, not to entertain themselves, but to glorify their Maker. The waves crash against the shore in rhythm, declaring His power. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying the sound of His greatness. All creation has a song, and that song glorifies God. But only mankind has been deceived into the songs of rebellion. The devil wants to corrupt the one voice in creation that has the power to consciously choose God. Do not let him steal your voice. Do not let him take your worship and twist it into his instrument. Worship is a sacred trust. Music is a holy gift. It was given to you not to glorify yourself, not to entertain your flesh, but to exalt the one who created you. When you use music for any purpose other than glorifying God, you are misusing His gift. And when you use it to sing the songs of the enemy, you are turning God's gift into the devil's weapon. Beloved, guard this gift with holy fear. Treat it as sacred. Use it as it was meant to be used, to glorify God alone. And know this, the songs you sing shape the battles you win. A warrior who sings the devil's song enters the battlefield already defeated. A believer who sings God's song enters the storm already victorious. This is why Paul and Silas sang in the prison, and the chains fell. Not because of the sound of their voices, but because of the truth in their song. They exalted God even in chains, and the chains had no choice but to break. That is the power of true worship. And the devil hates it because he knows it turns weakness into strength, sorrow into joy, despair into hope. That is why he tries to corrupt your song. So I tell you today with urgency, sing with discernment, sing with wisdom, sing with fire. Let your voice be a sword against the enemy, not a tool for him. Refuse to let the devil write the soundtrack of your life. Refuse to let him poison your worship. Choose the songs of God. Choose truth over trend. Choose holiness over hype. Choose reverence over entertainment. And when you do, your worship will rise like incense before God, shaking the heavens, silencing the enemy, and transforming your very soul. My beloved, I must tell you with the deepest urgency of my spirit, when you allow a song that glorifies self, pride, or worldly pleasure into your lips, you are lifting your voice as an offering not to God, but to the enemy who authored the very melody. Music is not innocent. Words are not harmless. The rhythm, the chant, the vibration, it is either ascending as worship to God, or it is descending as corruption to your soul. The devil does not need to preach from pulpits, for he has already placed his sermons into melodies, and the congregation sings them with lifted hands, thinking they honor God, while their spirits are entangled in chains they cannot see. Do you not realize that from the beginning, music was created to glorify God? Instruments resounded in heaven not for entertainment, but for worship. Yet the fallen one, once a creature of beauty, twisted the gift of sound into a weapon against the very Creator who made him. And now, centuries later, he does not need to whisper lies into your ears. He packages them in choruses, hooks, and refrains, and believers memorize them faster than they memorize the holy words of God. He hides rebellion in rhythm, deceit in harmony, and pride in lyrics, and the people of God sing them without discernment. Can you not feel the weight of this deception? This is why you must guard your ears with the same intensity that you guard your eyes and heart. For every song that you allow into your soul is like planting a seed. If the seed is holy, rooted in the fear of God, it will grow into worship, strength, and reverence. But if the seed is corrupt, planted by the enemy, it will bear fruit of rebellion, distraction, and disobedience. Many wonder why their prayers feel heavy, why their spirits feel dry, why their connection to God feels distant. It is because the song of the enemy has become louder than the song of heaven in their lives. Do not be deceived by the beauty of sound. Just because something sounds pleasant does not mean it is holy. The serpent in the garden did not sound frightening. He sounded persuasive, appealing, almost wise. The same is true with music. The devil does not enter through horror and terror. He enters through sweetness, through what feels harmless, through what feels comforting to the flesh but poison to the spirit. He hides destruction inside beauty, just as a wolf hides under the wool of a sheep. That is why you must test every word, every melody, every rhythm by the standard of God's truth. A signpost not of perfection, not of flawless character, but of courage in the face of storms. God is saying through his example, if one voice can pierce the darkness, how much more could an army of awakened souls do? That is the shock. It is not just about him, but about what God is trying to show through him. God revealed that his boldness is not accidental, but strategic. It is not arrogance. It is the courage that flows when you know the truth is not yours but God's. I saw that God uses people like Charlie Kirk to awaken the timid, to challenge the silent, to provoke the fearful into asking, why am I quiet when he is loud? Why am I hidden when he is unafraid? God is showing us that courage is contagious, and when one person dares to rise, it compels others to find their voice. But here is the deeper shock. God also showed me that whenever he raises someone to speak, the attacks will be fierce. The louder the voice, the sharper the arrows, the clearer the truth, the darker the lies sent to destroy it. And what God is teaching us through this example is that when you stand for God's truth in any sphere, whether it be politics, family business, or personal life, you must expect to be hated, resisted, and targeted. Yet God says, do not fear, for I will shield you. What God showed me about Charlie Kirk is not that he is beyond weakness, but that his weakness only magnifies God's strength. The storms he faces are not because he is wrong, but because he has dared to shine light into darkness. And then God pressed upon my spirit this undeniable reality. So many of you listening are hiding your own voice. You are shrinking when you should be rising. You are silencing yourself when God has put fire in your mouth. The shock is not simply what God revealed about him, but what it reveals about you. God is saying, if I can use him, I can use you. If I can give him courage, I can give you courage. If I can sustain him in the midst of fire, I can sustain you in your trial. God showed me that Charlie Kirk is a symbol, a reminder that God places people in culture not just to speak ideas, but to wage a spiritual war. This is not a political matter. It is a divine matter. It is not about ideology, but about spiritual authority. God raises certain voices to challenge lies that are meant to enslave humanity. And when those voices rise, all of hell trembles. Do you see now why the attacks come? Because when one person stands in God's truth, they become a mirror reflecting what others are afraid to see. But let me take you deeper. God showed me that the shock is not in the man, but in the God who chooses the man. This is the mystery. God does not choose based on status, on age, on background, on wealth, or on fame. God chooses based on willingness. When a heart says, I will not compromise, God says, then I will use you. And when God uses you, you may not always be loved, but you will always be protected. The enemies may surround you, but God surrounds you more. The critics may rise, but God lifts you higher. What God showed me is this: the same spirit of courage you see in Charlie Kirk is not exclusive to him. It is available to you. God is saying, do not think that I only raise up a few. I am raising up a generation. But here is the tragedy. Many are refusing the call. Many are burying their voice. Many are watching from the sidelines while the world grows darker, waiting for someone else to rise. God is revealing through him that you no longer have the excuse of silence. You no longer have the excuse of fear. If one young man can stand boldly, then what excuse will you give when God asks why you hid? The revelation is this: God is calling you out of passivity. God is calling you out of compromise. God is calling you out of silence. And the shock is not in Charlie Kirk himself. The shock is in realizing that God wants to place the same fire in you. Do you feel it? That stirring inside, that conviction that you cannot keep living in shadows, that you cannot keep blending into the world, that you cannot keep hiding your faith, your convictions, your truth. God is saying, I rise. And God showed me something even greater. The shock is not only that he raises individuals, but that he uses them as sparks to ignite multitudes. One voice becomes a movement. One spark becomes a fire. One act of courage becomes a chain reaction of boldness. Do you understand what God is doing? He is not just lifting up Charlie Kirk to speak. He is lifting him as an example so that you will be provoked to action. God is saying, do not applaud courage, imitate it. Do not watch from a distance. Step into battle yourself. Beloved, what God revealed is urgent. The days are dark, the lies are loud, and the world is shaking.